Well, guys, that's your hospital. For privacy reasons, obviously, I can't take a lot of video in there, but if you look back on the hill up here, that's Orvieto. Very close. Hey guys, it's Brad. Well, welcome to Morrano Nuovo. And we're in a very small town. I think there's maybe 300 or 400 people that live up here. This is just a bedroom community for Orvieto. It's not a free independent city. There is one restaurant. I think I just showed it to you. Of all things, it's a Michelin rated restaurant. It's in the Michelin Guide, has been for a number of years now. And that's the kind of funny oddball things you get sometimes. This town doesn't even have a bar, but it has a Michelin Guide restaurant. So there you go. We're 12 minutes from Orvieto. Also, more importantly, we're 12 minutes from the main hospital that's in Orvieto. You already saw the video of that too. I think it's so important. That's why I keep putting in all these hospital videos. I can't show a lot inside the hospital because I'm probably not supposed to be walking around filming inside their hospital. But I think it's important to see the quality and how much stuff they have in there. Even had a nice bar. There, they had a bar, right? And it was a very well-rated hospital, and I can't emphasize enough, but I'd rather tell you too much now than tell you I told you so later after you buy your house that's 55 minutes from the nearest medical clinic that may or may not have someone working the night, that something serious happens to you. It's your life that you're playing with. You really should be within 20 minutes driving time of a good trauma center. I'm no spring chicken. Even my beautiful wife Olivia is no spring chicken, and she's already had to go to the ER in Montepulciano where we live. Luckily, we were 8 minutes away. I bundled her into the car, and by the time we got there, I had to get help getting her out of the car. She had a severe case of food poisoning, and all her hands and feet were cramping up. She couldn't walk. She couldn't clasp anything, and they immediately got her an EKG within less than 10 minutes of getting there. She was on a gurney getting an EKG, and then they gave her a couple bags of fluids. They got her fixed up, and 9 hours later we were able to go home. That's super important, so please keep that in mind. After we get done touring this listing and seeing what is here in this house we're about to go look at, I want to take you guys shopping down in Orvieto. I'm going to try to find a hardware store where we can find simple DIY stuff like some lighting. This place definitely needs a paint job. Maybe a new shower stall. Let's see what they have. And there's an Obi, which is a major store. If you're in the US, it's like a Home Depot. And a large has everything that you need store about 45 minutes from here in Viterbo. And that would be your other option. By the way, this town's only about 10 minutes from the A1 Autostrada. So that's awesome for getting from here, say down to the Rome airport or into Rome. There's also a high-speed rail station here in Orvieto. So, okay, enough extra information. Let's go see this listing, and then let's get into Orvieto and see if we can't find a nice hardware store before everyone closes for lunch, because it's exactly noon right now, and they may close between 1 and 3, so everyone gets to go home and take a lunch. Welcome to Italy. Let's go. So here's the house, guys. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. It is 110 meters. That's about 1,200 square feet. There's a garage, a garden area. It was built around 1990, and the asking price is 70,000 euros. Now look at the lower right-hand corner of this photo. You can see that the street level down there is lower. That is the entrance to the garage. There were no good photos of that side of the house in this listing. The backyard has a pretty good size of a garden in the back. There's a little bit of grassy area. Then just outside the gate, there's tons of grassy area. Needs a little bit of cleanup, but overall it looks nice. And I always like to see a big palm tree like that, because that tells me it doesn't get super cold in the wintertime. It'll get cold here, but not super cold. And by that I mean it'll get down near freezing or maybe even a little below freezing, but not for very long. First thing I would do here is get a power washer and try power washing the back of the house, all the concrete, get rid of the weeds. I think you'd make it nice. I've always said when you see a nice kitchen, and I've seen a bunch of them, this one is in very excellent shape. When you see a kitchen that's this nice, it tells you that the house has been well taken care of and it's probably going to be in very good condition. And it's new enough, I'm guessing that one of those cabinets underneath is the dishwasher. And of course, here on the right side, that tall cabinet on the very right side, that's your refrigerator, and on the top is the freezer, probably with a little bit more storage space. So overall, I give this kitchen almost an A. I mean, maybe it needs to be painted. That's about the only thing I can see. And I'm not a big fan of the light hanging down. But if you wanted to paint it, that's super easy. So let's go to Obi and see what they have. So we're here in Obi. This one is actually in Corchana. It's far north of where we are. But the one in Viterbo, which is the nearest to this apartment, would be about like this. The paint runs about $11 per gallon, that paint. And they have a full mixing service here too. So you can get whatever color you want. You just come in and go through. They have color books. No one was in the department when I was there. And of course you can get all sorts of utensils and brushes and scrapers and rollers and tarps, everything you need. It really is just about like being in a Home Depot. As a matter of fact, for you Americans, if I had shot that and said this is a Home Depot, you'd be hard put to argue. So anyway, that's the only thing I can think of for this kitchen is maybe paint, and maybe paint the whole house, but that's about it. And speaking of painting, how about the paintings on the ceilings in my apartment here? When you come to southern Tuscany, come stay with us in Montepulciano, at least for a couple days. All our apartments are from the 17th century, and everything is right downtown in the historic district. TuscanPalace.com. You can see how the pictures change your perception of how big the room is. Now that little corner seating area looks so small. The fireplace now looks small. That window goes out into that garden area. Now this is the living room. It has one door that leads to kind of like a balcony that overlooks the garage and the street out front. There's a fair amount of light. I still think that you would probably need to do some painting perhaps in here. And I would change the light fixture. Other than that, if you're putting in your own furniture, I think the room looks awesome. Nice porcelain tile floor. It has radiant heat. But the one thing I don't see anywhere in this house is split systems, the air conditioning. And I got to tell you, I live here. I live at 1,000 feet higher elevation than this apartment is. And it is just too hot in the end of July through the beginning of September to not have some sort of air conditioning. It just is impossible anymore. When it only gets down to 83 at night, your house is never going to cool off. So let's go back to Obi and see some air conditioners. So here we're back in Corchana. I wanted to show you this one. This is 3 different heads that go inside the house. And then you have this very large inverter that's strong enough to power all of them. And Hisense is a really good brand. 1,400 euros for the whole set. 3 heads and inverter. And then figure probably about the same amount of money for installation. It's nice that this apartment is on the ground floor, more or less, because that's going to make the installation so much easier than if you were up high. So that doorway to the right goes into the kitchen, and then the door straight ahead, where it's light of course, goes out to the garden. That's your main entrance into the house. Back behind us is the staircase, a little half bath, and of course that big living room that we were just talking about with the air conditioning, etc. So this is one of the main bedrooms. There's 3 bedrooms in this house. One looks like it's quite small. I'll put up the schematic in a second. But I wanted to show you this bedroom. Now one thing that has got to go is that light fixture. And again, you might want to paint. I always think it's nice just to paint a place, put your colors on it, just to lighten it up. But let's go to Obi and look at some lighting. So we're back in the big Obi store, and this shot shows you how big the store is. And then this is just one of 3 different aisles of lighting that they have. And I've sped this up because it's a big aisle. And most of these lights were about, here, let's look, 18, 19, 25, 40, just depends on the light. There's a lot of selection here. They have everything you need as far as like all sorts of different light bulbs, pendant lights. And then over here you have lights for like hallways or next to your bed, above the nightstand kind of stuff. Basically, tons of selection. Now this would probably end up being the master if it was my place, but it looks like a pretty good sized room. I think you could easily fit a king bed. It has security shutters. You see those little holes? That's a pull down metal security shutter, blackout shutter. That's nice if you're not going to be there. And this goes out to a balcony. You can see potted plants outside. So that overlooks the street. I know people hate ceiling fans, but in a hot climate like this, and in the summertime, it's going to be hot from June through the end of September. Not bad to have a ceiling fan, maybe just a better looking one than that. That was pretty dated. But overall, I think the bedroom looks really nice. Again, you can see the radiant heat, throw some paint on the walls, and I think you're good to go to move into this place. Here's one last photo that shows another shot of the balcony, and here's the schematic for the upper floor. So hallway, that full bath, 3 bedrooms, one of which they're not showing, the small one upper left, and this one, which is the one at the very bottom lower right with the balcony. Pretty nice setup. There wasn't any photos of the 3rd bedroom in this listing, which is a shame. It's one of the drawbacks to using these listings to show you guys a neat property. I thought this one was an incredible deal for the price, but that is a drawback. And last but not least, we have the bathroom. Bathroom looks like it's in excellent shape. The only thing is, it's just a tub with a shower. And as you all know, I would prefer to have a shower unit. So let's run back to Obi real fast and look at some freestanding showers. I mean, this isn't even a big store, and they have a good selection of things. The stone base is $155. This shower setup, 430 euros. I've always thought these were kind of horrific, but at least that one's not too tiny. 675, and pretty easy to install. It's just, I think it'd be 300 or 400 euros. You could get someone to install it. This looks like it's the size that would take out a bathtub, and you could put that in instead, which is what I always say. I'd much rather have that than a bathtub. You want to see some sinks too? Not bad. 88 plus the light, 110 euros. 420 complete for that sink. $179 for the shower set. $232, $50 for the faucet, $50, $100, $45, $70. So this is the garage level. So you come in, and then this is where your car would park. You go through the doorway. There's a staircase that goes up to the residence proper. It looks like it's pretty good size. It's the footprint of the whole house. So as big as, say, the living room and that hallway and the kitchen is, that's how much space they're going to have down here. But again, with limited photos and no photo of the outside of the garage, it's hard to say exactly. All right, guys, that's it for this tour. 70,000. It's a place you could move into tomorrow. Turn on the power, turn on the gas, you're ready to go. If you're interested in seeing this property, I put the listing inside the description of this video. I have no connection to this property. You need to reach out to the agent. I just thought, for being 15 minutes maximum from Orvieto, this was a nice, quiet place to live and a very good looking apartment. Hope to see you guys soon on Brad's World. Ciao.